course, everything on everybody's mind right now is all about coronavirus. And here I am to talk a bit about that. But before I get into the coronavirus, I just had one comment for one of my previous videos. I know it's taken me a long time to get back to you, but Mr. JSA 2001 RC didn't like my comments about Brexit. And says, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I tell you what, I had the experience of being here, living in England for 25 years, and then some. I've lived here in England longer than I have in the U.S., in fact. And once again, I bring to the table the unique perspective of being an outsider yet, been here long enough to identify with and sympathize with a lot of local British people's concerns. So I do think I do understand more about Brexit than you think. It's just I'm more objective in my viewpoint, and because I don't carry the extra emotional baggage of the British identity and the rah-rah patriotism. I don't carry all that, so I can be more objective in my viewpoint. So anyhow, we'll get back to Brexit another day. Today is all about coronavirus. And here I am in my pub, because I run a pub that shut down like so many other places in the UK, in the USA, and in other countries around the world. Shut down. Not making any money. But I understand the necessity of it. I do understand the necessity in that it's all about slowing this thing down. Now see, as people in the USA have figured out, and a lot of other countries as well, is we missed the boat on stopping this thing. Now the USA, I don't know what's going on with you guys. Sometimes some of the stuff some Americans do almost make me ashamed to call myself an American. I mean, all these riots and these Trump protesters acting a fool over there right now, protesting the social distancing and showing up at the capitals of different state capitals and at governors' homes with guns and whatnot. That's insane. It's ridiculous and it's just shameful. And meanwhile, being cheered on and spurred on by the president. I don't even like this. I don't even use that same word with Trump. With that guy in the office, because he's not presidential. There's nothing presidential about that guy. He's a moron. He's a moron, and he's the most dangerous thing that's ever happened to our country. But I don't even want to go on about that. Now, you guys have missed the boat in that he's dragged his heels, denied it, called it a hoax, did everything but needed to be done, except what needed to be done to prepare for the pandemic. And that's why you have the death rate that you have in the U.S. today, due to lack of preparation. Now here in England, we missed the boat as well. But I will give Boris a little bit of credit, in the fact that they dragged their feet and he didn't take it seriously, but he wasn't quite as big a moron about it as Trump, in that when he realized the severity of the issue, he did kind of try to, play catch up. I will give him the credit, even though they're still far behind where they need to be, and we're so far behind the curve, it's just ridiculous, because every moment lost, wasted, is so much far lost, and the resources are not being utilized properly here, and that's, oh my goodness, it's just ridiculous. And and I'm here. I get to see this. I got a front row seat to see how this plays out here. Now, it's not as crazy as what's going on in the US of A, but it's still concerning. NHS staff don't have enough equipment. And the NHS, or rather the government officials, are promising them, they've got what they needed and blah, 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 but they don't. Matter of fact, it's gotten so bad that, one of the nurse organizations are telling nurses that if you don't have the right equipment and you feel in danger, don't treat coronavirus patients, which is It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. But I understand. Because if I was in their position, I feel the same way. You got nurses dying of this coronavirus right here and now because they don't have the proper protections in place to keep them safe. I understand that. I do. You know, and a lot of the programs that the government's rolling out to help individuals, whether private, self-employed, companies, a lot of them have been slow in coming, but they seem to finally be coming online. And so hopefully that'll work out. And I think that's a leg up on the U.S. of A. because from what I've read and people I've talked to in the U.S. of A lot of the programs that they're promising there, the bureaucracy is too much. People are still trying to wade through the bureaucracy. People are not eligible for the different programs that are supposed to help small businesses. It's such a mess. And I understand the UK has a lot smaller population based in the US, but come on, man. Let's get it together, US. What's going on, man? But the thing is, when you have a lack of leadership from the guy that's in the big office, then, well, I guess matter of fact, actively working against and causing divisions amongst the states and populace, well then, that you are going to end up with a mess. My hat's off to those governors that are stepped up to try to handle the crisis in their own way. My hat's off to them because it's an impossible job. Trying to balance the needs of your economy versus the safety of the lives of your constituents. That is a hard thing to do. And then you got these little idiots running around with guns, and I just don't get it, man. I just don't understand it. And I'm glad at least the British seem to be handling this in a lot better manner from what I've seen so far. Oh, you got incidents, just like yesterday. A group of 150 bikers went to a funeral together. No social distancing, masks, none of that. And, well, there you go. And managed to run over a 17-year-old kid in the process. It's just like who's in critical care. I mean, this stuff reads like a bad movie, So we have our problems here as well, but they just seem so eclipsed by all the drama and stuff going on in the States. And the thing is, I'm so sorry, Boris, he's a bit of a nut, and he's a little bit of a moron as well, but at least I don't feel, me personally, now some people might disagree with my viewpoint, especially as a black American. I've heard, he's picking any comments and some racial comments he may have made. But for me personally, I don't get the vibe of him being a racist and a hate monger and all that kind of stuff. To me, he's just a bit of a moron, But at least more articulate and not mean-spirited like that guy over across the waters, that idiot Trump. So I give Boris a little credit. He may be a moron and he's a bit of a clown, but I don't think he's mean-spirited in that regard. I think he's an opportunist, and he has a passing relationship with the truth as well, but he's not as flagrant a liar as Trump. Trump is just so blatant in it amazes me. He'll lie and then lie about the lie that he just told you 5 minutes ago, like nothing's happened, like like you've got the memory of a goldfish and you won't remember. Boris is not quite that bad, but he's told some whoppers in his time now. But anyhow, I'm getting away from the point. The thing I feel bad about is that now, for all his laissez-faire attitude towards the coronavirus, guess who's sick? And to me, that's the thing that should have happened to Trump, to give him a little humility and understanding about what's going on today. Because he don't care. He don't care who dies. All he's worried about is keeping himself in power so he don't go to jail. Because he's desperate, because he knows if he gets out of jail, he's going to spend the rest of his life in court. I don't think they'll ever actually put him in jail unless some of his dirty dealings come out that we know nothing about that are just so heinous. But at this point, the list of things that he's done that's worthy of impeachment And jail time is just, it's incredible. It's mind-blowing that he's gotten away with so much of it for so long, and nobody says anything. The Republicans continue to enable him. The Democrats are scared to really put him to the wall on it because they don't want to risk civil unrest. It's just mind-blowing. But I feel that once he gets out, he knows he will spend the rest of his life in court trying to fight going to jail. They're not going to put him in jail. I mean, come on. Just like Nixon, he'll get pardoned or whatever the heck, but they'll come after him, and he'll just go around and around in court for the rest of his life, and without anything ever really truly being resolved until he's long dead. Which, I mean, man, is 70-something years old, so that may not be too far off anyway. Then all of a sudden, all these revelations, they're like everything, all these revelations will come out and he'll be even more revealed as the monster that we already knew he was. So, anyhow. I can rant on for days about this, It's just, I wish things were in a better place, but we're not as bad as we could be. And I thank God for being here in England rather than the U.S. This is not the time to be in a U.S. of A. And this is as an American saying this. And I feel sad that I have to feel this way. But I look around me and it's just, the death rate is bad here too. We're well over 15,000 people dead. But versus double that in the U.S. of A. Once again, I understand you have a much bigger population, but those are just incredible numbers. Those are ridiculous numbers. And I think that they've just handled it a lot better here because even though they started off behind the curve too, they did not waste quite as much time trying to get things going and moving in the right direction they did in the U.S. of A. So, there you go. But we are where we are. Just trying to keep my head down, keep myself safe and my family safe, and just trying to weather it out. Once again, like I also am glad that at least the NHS, it struggles and it may creak a bit around the edges. It needs so much. Now it's coming to, all the chickens are coming home to roost. The fact that the underfunding and undersupply of the NHS now is in stark contrast. And yet, they're still giving billions to these private companies that have been, outsourcing and just sucking off the NHS. And to me, I just don't understand when are they going to get their act together on that. I've been here 25 years and some change. And when I got here, I was blown away by the NHS. I always thought the NHS was such a marvelous system compared to what I've come from. Because see, I remember in the U.S., insurance is crazy how insurance works in the U.S. now. Now, having grown up in there, I've seen both sides of the coin. I grew up poor, very poor. So I remember what it was like. My mother, we usually had insurance when I was a child. My mother got it through her job, Blue Cross Blue Shield. I remember people remember that, which she used to get from her job. But there was a time when she had lost her job, and we spent a little time on the welfare, until she could find another job and get us off, which is what it's really for. And that during that time we had no insurance. And I remember going to the hospital a time or two and seeing the difference. Even as a young child, I picked that up, the difference of how you're treated when you have insurance and when you don't. And it hasn't gotten any better. As I got older, and then the HMOs came along, and then, and it's just gotten so crazy. And at least, see, I spent 10 years in the military, and then some. So, that was a great thing, man. That was nice having full access to hospital facilities on base I could go to whenever I needed to. That was beautiful. I still miss those days. But saying that, at least I like about the NHS is that it doesn't cost you anything. You can get seen for what you need to. And as long as you don't have anything majorly wrong with you, you'll be all right. Now, the NHS, if you've got, say, diabetes or small things, anything, even tumors, small tumors or whatever, you'll be all right. NHS is a wonderful thing. But saying that, if you've got something serious wrong with you, you might want to have some additional health care available. Let me tell you a story. I've been here long enough where I used to know two young ladies. Around the same time, in fact, both of them ended up with cervical cancer. Now, one of these young ladies waited on the NHS to help her. And both of them, they got deferred, supposedly for 6 months for treatment, saying that, oh, it'll be all right and whatever. One young lady waited on the NHS. The other young lady said, the heck with that. She went and got Bupa, which is what do you call it, a private healthcare system that they have. Bupa, very good for what I've heard. I've never had to use them myself. But anyhow, in this story, the young lady that went to Bupa, she's still here. She paid $1,500. They knocked that cancer right out. Lady is still here. Years later, had a child. Life is beautiful. The other young lady that waited on NHS, she's not here anymore. And that's sad. That is sad. So the lesson I took from that is, as long as you've got minor things, NHS is a wonderful thing. But if you've got something serious, you best have some additional health care available. That's all I'll say. But saying that also, the NHS is a beautiful thing, medication. Now, as a regular working citizen, working resident, yeah, I pay for my medicine, but still, medicine only costs £8 something, £8.70 now, less than £10. And I tell you what, anytime I have to go get a prescription, I am laughing because £8 is some change for a prescription, no matter what I need, and that's just for me. Now, my child, I have a 3-year-old son. His medication is free. You know, that is just so mind blowing to me because I know in the States, man, medicine is ridiculously priced. And there's no need for that. It shouldn't be, but it is. So these are the things that I love about the NHS. These are the things that are great, but it needs help. And it needs work. And unfortunately, up until now, it hasn't gotten it. And I think maybe this crisis will be the impetus that the government needs to show that the NHS is a valued thing, that they've been taking it for granted for far too long, and that the NHS needs help. You know, it needs funding. It needs to get rid of all these outsourcing, overpriced, corporations that ain't got their hands in their pocket, sucking money out of it, but providing less service, and take care of its staff. Give them a raise. They turned down nurses. Nurses were supposed to get a raise? A raise was proposed for nurses back in 2017 or around there, 2017, I believe. Turned down. Now look at it. You know, I wouldn't blame the nurses if they turned around and say, you know what, now's a good time to be talking about that raise, remember? You know? But my hat is off to the NHS staff, doctors, frontline staff, you name it, because they do an incredible job for little things and not enough reward. And they're still doing it. With less PPE, you got doctors and nurses getting sick and dying, and yet they still struggle on without the proper tools to do their job. And I feel that is not fair. But this is the world we live in. And hopefully that will be addressed, and hopefully people, the government will up their game. But once again, we're still head and shoulders above what's going on in the U.S. Because when I look at the TV and I see Governor Cuomo and the California governor and Whitmore and Michigan and what they're on and how they have to fight with Trump over federal support and stuff that is part of his job, whether he wants to do it or not, it's just insane. It's just insane. And I'm glad at least they don't have that kind of partisanship going on here. At least everybody's on board when it comes to that. Now, pretty pretty soon the blame game will come along when it comes time to Boris's party having to atone for their missteps in this, and well, that's a whole nother argument, a whole nother day. But at least now that we're all in it, we're all in it together, basically, and that's the thing I like to say about what's happening here with the British government. I think they are trying to support people a lot better, and the people, for the most part, are listening and doing the right things to keep themselves safe and listen and work with the government for the most part. And I think it doesn't get better than that. But we'll see how long this thing drags out, because everybody's hurting. Everybody's hurting. I see in the States unemployment is at record highs, and unemployment people applying for unemployment benefits are at record highs, and we're not far behind that here. A lot of people have lost their jobs. A lot of people have lost their incomes, myself included. But at least I'm not in as bad a place as some people. At least my company offers me some support, so we're not really in a bad place. So I just, my heart goes out to those that are truly suffering, and hopefully we figured our way out of this thing, and hopefully it doesn't drag on too well. I hope you are okay there, wherever you are. If you have any comments or dispute anything I'm saying, I'll be glad to read your comments and reply to them at another time, hopefully in a lot sooner manner than before. Because during my work commitments, I kind of got behind in my videos and whatnot. But now I'm trying to get caught back up again. And now I've got time, got nothing but time. So now I'm addressing some things and like to talk about some things with you. So anyhow, thank you for listening to me. Thank you for listening to me rant. Hope I've made some kind of sense, and I hope you understand where I'm coming from, and that I totally support, my government here, as well as my community and customer base and friends, associates, and everybody locally. And I still got love for my homie. I know sometimes I might come up with the sour grapes of talking about the US of A, but it just hurts my heart seeing things going so crazy and so wrong there, man. Especially when most of it can be traced to one person. And it's just incredible to me that it's been allowed to continue for so long without people addressing it in a more forthright and honest manner. Now, a lot of his policies have gotten struck down and whatever, but he just caused so much damage and continues to do so much damage. I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. Why is it, and these daily briefings, at least they have daily briefings here in the UK, but at least the daily briefings here are about information and about what to do, what we should be doing, and what's going on. And it doesn't turn into a personal rally speech, It just baffles me. That's why I can't even listen to this guy anymore. I don't. Anytime he's on the tube, I can't even bother listening to him, because first of all, nothing he says is any truth. It's all lies, misinformation. Doesn't know what he's talking about, pulling stuff out the air, or berating the reporters, or trying to cast the blame anywhere else but himself, which is where the blame belongs. And it's just no point. And then Fauci, Dr. Fauci, or some of the other healthcare professionals that actually have the information that people need, end up waiting hours to get on the air to give 10 minutes worth of info, which is really all the briefing needs to be about, But once again, I'm through talking, and I'm sure you're through listening. But anyhow, thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing with me. I wish you all well. I hope everybody stays safe and take care of yourselves. Until next time, good luck.